Hello, now we are good to go. I guess we are on air. I can see from here all the red buttons are on. Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Mariana Castaño Cano. I am a climate communication expert, founder of Pavilion Solutions, and a communication expert support at the PIB, the Program for Energy Efficiency in Buildings. And today it is a very special day for the PIB because we are officially launching PIBMed. PIBMed is an initiative that has been approved a few months ago, but here at COP27 we have the honor of presenting it to the wider public. It is an initiative that will bring energy efficiency, capacity building and support to 7 Mediterranean countries. We know how the Mediterranean region is particularly affected by the effects of climate change, and how challenges the increase in the average global temperatures will be in particular for this region, together with important needs in development of housing for residential, but also for other infrastructures like hotels, like education buildings, like hospitals. And we have an incredible panel of experts and country representatives online and in person here in Sharm el-Sheikh. To my right, Laurence, Mathilde Bord-Laurence. She is the head of climate change program at the French Agency of Development, l'Agence Française du Développement. We also have the special advisor of the Minister of Housing of the Republic of Egypt, Mr. Abdel Halek. Hello, sir. Thank you for hosting us in Sharm el-Sheikh. Thank you. We also have Roberta Baniotti. Roberta is the Secretary General of MEDENER, MidMed Mediterranean Association of National Agencies for Energy Management. Roberta, good afternoon. Next, we have Jawad Al-Harath. Jawad is Executive Director of RECRE, MidMed Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. And last but not least, we have Victoria Jimenez. She is the head of the sector for human development at the Union for the Mediterranean. Victoria, thank you for organizing jointly with the PIB this event. Thank you very much. So we said that today it's a very happy day. Just a couple of hours ago, we had the chance to open the Buildings Pavilion here with the French Minister of the Ecological Transition. And we had the chance of informing him about the latest development of the Program for Energy Efficiency in Buildings. We are growing in terms of geographical scope, but also in sectors. And we are very happy that we have the support for many organizations funding up to over 400 million euros. And without further delay, I would like to give the floor to one of the two speakers. And I didn't introduce the two online speakers. We have Cristina Casella, Program Manager of Climate Change and Blue Economy at DG NEAR. Hello, Cristina. Can you hear as well?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Also online, I think I'm going to change mic. Yeah. Soraya, okay. We have Soraya Khalil, Director for the Direction of the Quality and Technical Affairs. No, okay. It's not better. I'm apologizing, especially for the online.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, without further delay, I would like to invite Cristina Casella to give the first remarks. Cristina, please.
Yes, thank you very much. And I hope that you can hear me well.
Very well, thank you.
Okay, excellent. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am very honored to be part of the discussions today that are dedicated to the important topic of energy efficiency in buildings. The role of buildings in addressing climate change cannot be understated. They are responsible for roughly 40% of emissions globally, and the global building stock, as we know, is continuously growing as well. So shifting towards more energy efficient buildings is actually an absolute priority. Not only is it one of the most affordable ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but it also has a host of other co-benefits, including reduced air pollution with positive impacts on human health and, of course, lower energy bills. So renovating both public and private buildings has actually been singled out in the European Green Deal as a key initiative to drive energy efficiency in the sectors and to deliver on the goal of climate neutrality by 2050. Which, as you know, is one of the key goals under the European Green Deal. So the EU has set out on a very ambitious path of reforms to decarbonize its building stock. The Renovation Wave strategy, which was published in 2020, aims to support along this path to support research and innovation, address market barriers, and leverage private investments to tackle energy poverty, but also boost energy efficiency of public buildings and social infrastructure to decarbonize heating and cooling systems. So the aim of the strategy is, in fact, to double annual energy renovation rates in the next 10 years. And now, as you know, these efforts have even been scaled up even further through the Repower EU plan, which is designed as a response to the global energy crisis that we are facing at the moment. So this plan contains concrete measures to diversify our energy supplies, to accelerate the rollout of renewable energy production, and also to further increase energy saving. Now, in the southern and eastern Mediterranean countries that we call our southern neighbors, we know that the building sector is also responsible for 20 to 35% of energy consumption. And we also know that this is on the rise due to the rapid demographic growth and urbanization trends, as well as rising temperatures, obviously, caused by climate change, which further increase the need for cooling. And in fact, energy demand for air conditioning is expected to triple by 2050. So measures to tackle energy efficiency in the building sector are increasingly becoming a priority in the region. And in fact, these are often at the core of the energy efficiency policies of countries, such as the National Energy Efficiency Action Plans. And countries have set energy efficiency targets, and they are implementing measures to reduce consumption, for example, through establishing regulatory frameworks governing energy performance in the sector, implementing building codes, or developing thermal insulation standards, or also adopting minimum energy performance standards and labeling systems for appliances. But however, there is still a very long way to go in the process of decarbonization of the built environment, both within the EU and also in the southern neighborhood. Technical, financial, legal, and regulatory barriers still persist and slow down the progress. In line with the priorities for cooperation set out in the joint communication for a renewed partnership with the Mediterranean, the EU is supporting its southern neighbors in the clean energy transition, and including on increasing renewable energy, clean hydrogen production, developing regional integration of electricity markets and networks, and also improving energy efficiency. And I believe that our geographical proximity, as well as the interdependence and complementarity of our energy interests, allow for the possibility of really strong partnerships. Our shared and joint commitment on driving the energy transition in the region has been recently reaffirmed by countries on both shores of the Mediterranean through the Union for the Mediterranean Ministerial Declaration on Energy, which was adopted last year. And through our various bilateral and regional cooperation programs, as well as through our blending facilities, which combine grant funding with loans, the EU is supporting partner countries in implementing concrete energy efficiency measures in the building, as well as other sectors such as industry and transport. Further opportunities are also becoming available now in the context of our new instruments, such as the European Fund for Sustainable Development Plus, where European and international financial institutions can propose energy efficiency projects, amongst others, and benefit from an EU financial guarantee scheme that is meant to de-risk activities and leverage further private investments. Today, within this session, we will be focusing on two EU-funded programs. which have also been mentioned at the start. So we have the MEET-MED program, which is implemented by the Mediterranean Association of the National Agencies for Energy Management and the Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. So the MEET-MED program supports the development of renewable energy and energy efficiency measures in the building and appliances sector, and also aims to raise public awareness of the energy transition and its stakes, and it also tries to harmonize policies and strategies, as well as accelerate public and private sectors' involvement in the sector. This program is already in its second phase of implementation, building on the successful first phase. And complementary to MEET-MED, as was also mentioned, we now have the PIB-MED program, which is just about to be launched and will be implemented by the AFD. PIB-MED will work to improve the conditions for financing large-scale energy efficiency projects in the building sector in the Mediterranean with a vision to achieve a zero-emission resilient building sector. It would also help mobilize private investments and support ambitious energy efficiency policies, thereby also contributing to countries' national climate targets, such as the NDCs. And of course, you will have the opportunity to hear more about these programs from my fellow panelists. So I will now conclude and leave you with a startling figure. Recent studies have found that the global building floor area is expected to double by 2060. This is the equivalent of adding an entire New York City to the world every month for the next 40 years. It is no wonder that the World Economic Forum has identified moving towards zero carbon buildings as one of its top 4 priorities for tackling climate change. This huge wave of urban growth represents an enormous risk to our planet, but also an extraordinary opportunity to take action and to make our building stock future-proof, to protect our planet and our future generations. So I thank you very much again for giving me the opportunity to speak at this panel, and I wish you all a very fruitful session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina, for that overview, and congratulations for the enlargement of the European support to energy-efficient buildings in the Mediterranean. And after these initial remarks that signify the launch of PIB-MED, we are going to touch upon different angles of making possible this cooperation. Without support, financial support, cooperation will not work. We have Mathilde Borderon, responsable des changements climatiques à l'AFD, l'Agence française du développement, which is an agency implementing this program. And I would like to hear, Mathilde, why is it financial cooperation so key in decarbonizing and making the buildings environment more resilient?
Christy, yes, thank you very much, Mariana. Yes, it's working. I hope it will work throughout. Let me switch. This one seems to work better. It will not be easy for you to go back to questions, but we'll try to manage that. So thank you very much for the invitation. I understand, Victoria, I have to thank you, especially for the organization of this side event. Indeed, I'm in charge of climate and nature now at the French Development Agency, which is the public development bank in charge of mobilizing the development finance in 150 countries. So I'm very pleased to be here, to be able to, in the first day of the COP27, in the Mediterranean Pavilion, especially because we know how important for the region climate change impacts are and how important it is both for the people and the nature in the region, and therefore it's a pleasure to be here. Buildings is a key topic for me. I've been working for years on this topic in the energy sector first, and I had the opportunity to see the PIB as a small baby, actually, when it was launched a few years ago now at COP22 already. It's growing, but still, I believe we don't do enough in buildings yet. We are a financial institution. We have committed to be Paris aligned, and therefore, if we want to be Paris aligned, it means we have to make sure our buildings, the buildings that we are all financing, are energy efficient and resilient with regard to climate change. Christina gave already a number of figures showing the magnitude of the topic in the developing countries. In Europe, she said it's a lot about renovation. It's not the case in the developing world. it's urban growth, it's new building, which is really very critical, especially. It's an investment sector of 6 trillions per year, where only 3% is spent on energy efficiency, which really show that we can and we have to do better in this topic. There are good signals, though. The ownership in the NDCs, the building sector is now much better embedded into the NDCs, and this is a huge improvement. I know also it's improving in terms of building codes, so it shows that the regulation is improving. Now it's a question of finance, of implementation, and of making sure that the regulations are indeed well respected. So as a financial institution, we must redirect our finance and make sure it's built well, and built well first, so improving the building designs, making sure, as Christina said, that our building stock will be future-proof. I like the wording, taking into account future climates. We can gain hours of scholarship with that. We can reduce death toll due to heat waves, and we know it's now happening every year in our countries. And we must not count too much on appliances and AC elsewhere. Indeed, we do increase the crisis even more. So it's very important to build well first. And it's also an opportunity, because here we're talking about green job, of course. So the PIB, as I said, started its journey in COP22 as a French-German collaboration, together with colleagues which are also here in the room, notably colleagues from ADEME, the French Agency for Ecological Transition, also with GIZ, which is still working with us in other countries, not in the Mediterranean region, but in other countries. And we are very pleased to have now the support of the European Commission to be able to scale up our action in these 7 countries around the Mediterranean. What do we finance? We finance technical assistance, public policy support on building codes, for instance, but we are also aiming at reducing the cost of investments, and notably through investment grants that are going to be made available through this program. And behind this, we're talking mainly about social investments, for instance, regional hospitals in Tunisia, affordable housing in Morocco, schools in Egypt, Lebanon, and Morocco again, a nursing school in Palestine, and so on. I will not make of projects, but it's quite impressive, and I really wish to this PIB Med baby, knowing also that we are pleased this year to announce as well an additional funding from the GCF in addition to this PIB Med, with 220 additional million that will be helpful to develop this type of projects all around the world. And we are, of course, very pleased to work with the UFM and MITMED on this program. And I'll stop there.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Mathilde. And we heard from Christina, PIBMED is the second baby. There was MITMED before. And we want, of course, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We need to learn from what worked and eventually implement these success stories that made MITMED a very successful program. Before we continue, we would like, because we didn't say which countries will benefit from PIBMED, and these 7 countries are Algeria, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Morocco, the Palestinian territories, and Tunisia. And now we want to hear what were, Roberta, the greatest achievements of MITMED that could enlighten these first baby steps of PIBMED.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for inviting me here at this important session. And I think our projects, MITMED and PIBMED, are really complementary and very important and relevant for the region. I represent, first of all, the Medener Association, Secretary General of the Medener Association. It's the association of 13 national energy agencies in the Mediterranean region, both from the northern shore of the Mediterranean and the southern shore. We have almost all the countries that Mariana mentioned, and they are also the beneficiary countries of our common project together with RECRE, the MITMED project, mitigation, enabling energy transition in the Mediterranean area region. Our agencies in Medener are the technical arms of the ministries, of the energy ministries. We represent the energy agencies that have expertise in the energy efficiency field, are the national energy efficiency agencies. So we have technical expertise also for renewable energy and integration of renewables and energy efficiency. The MITMED project, our common project, started in 2018, the first phase, and it finished in 2020. Now we are working at the second phase, and our main achievements in the project with the beneficiary countries, that are 8 countries mentioned plus Libya, mentioned by Mariana plus Libya, are really the creation, first of all, of a network during the first phase, of a network of experts. Now we have more than 100 experts working together, coming from the different countries. And of course, we are the bridge between the ministries and the local level and the local authorities. We are in charge of technical expertise and of supporting our ministries. So this is very important from the point of view of strategies and policies in energy efficiency. In the first phase, we started with an assessment of strategies and policies for energy efficiency in the countries, and at the end we realized that the building sector was really the most important, the most energy consuming in the region. More than 40% of energy consumption, it was already mentioned, is due to the building and appliances. Our main focus areas are now buildings and appliances together. So we started with the assessment, but we will continue with strategies and policies, supporting our ministries, trying to harmonize the legislation in the region, with all the countries participating, addressing both the regional challenges, but also at the national level. So with best practices and with exchange of experiences, exchange of knowledge with all the countries involved. We started also in the second phase with the concerted action, a kind of concerted action for strategies and policies in the region. We'll be supporting the harmonization and the enforcement, for example, of building codes. This is one of the most important aspects to be tackled. Then we have demo actions. Demo actions like, for example, common tools to be utilized, for example, for energy audit in schools, public buildings, and then training to the experts, because there are several categories of experts that need training from the expertise that we have. And also to support the vision of a multi-level governance. We know that especially in the building and appliances sector, it's important the national, let's say the national view, the national strategies, but it's also important to apply it to the territory, to consider the multi-level governance that we need to have. Then another important, very relevant point is, of course, access to finance. And we launched the MED-SEI Forums initiative, Mediterranean Sustainable Energy Investment Forums, trying to put together all the different stakeholders, going from the policymakers to the technical experts to the financial world, international financial institutions and commercial banks. This is built on the experience of the European one, and we had already 1 regional event and 2 national events. So there are many aspects to be considered that are complementary, and we look forward to continuing with the PIB-MED and PIB, and in particular the PIB-MED initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roberta. And now we are going to even dive deeper from the region with Joad. Joad is the Executive Director of the Regional Center for Renewable Energies and Energy Efficiency. And we want to learn more about the lower hanging fruits of possible synergies between MidMed and PIBMed.
Thank you very much, Mariana. Good afternoon. So thanks a lot for having me today in this beautiful pavilion. We are in the COP27, so obviously we are talking about something important, already mentioned by Christina and also Roberta, the building sector contributing to more than 39% of the greenhouse gas emissions. And so that's why the importance of decarbonizing such sector. So as Roberta mentioned it, so in the MidMed project that we are coordinating together, RECRE with Mediner, just a quick reminder, RECRE is the Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. It's an intergovernmental organization. We are supporting 17 Arab countries, more than half are on the Mediterranean shores in their energy transition. At the same time, we are also animating together with Mediner, the UFM platform on renewable energy efficiency. So MidMed come to focus on energy efficiency in building appliances. So in this second phase in particular, as mentioned by Roberta, we focus on there is part of legislation. So we sort of benchmarking of policies. In the past, we worked a lot closely with each country on the national strategy, the national action plan on energy efficiency, monitoring tools, we assess their progress, etc. Then we went to legislation. So there are legislation, there are laws, codes, let's say, of construction or building, but when it comes to enforcement, there is an issue. Not all the laws or codes are enforced. So obviously we learned a lot. I think definitely we can definitely be in complementarity with what PIBMed is mandated to do. I think definitely they can benefit from our experience with the countries. There are some success stories. For example, in March, we organized the MidMed Week in Egypt. We hosted all the national energy efficiency agencies from the 8 countries: Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Palestine, Jordan, and Lebanon. And they learned from the Egyptian experience, in particular, for example, when it comes to demo site, the district schooling in the new administrative capital. So that was about the codes. The other aspect also is the financing. So already mentioned also is access to finance. So there is definitely a need to adopt a participatory approach. Decision makers, together with the financial institutions, together with the local banks and private sector, they are playing a very important role. In this regard, obviously, we created national level what we call National Sustainable Energy Forum, Investment Forum, and then we have the Mediterranean Sustainable Energy Investment Forum. So the idea is at national level, we gather all those players. The idea not to stay on the project, but to have sort of sustainable network at level of institutions that could last, that could probably also benefit the PIBMed project in the future, and also at the regional level. So we have all these players together. We can exchange good practices, how it worked in here or there. So this is very important as well. Also the issue of creating obviously demand, the local markets and the regional markets. So I think also this is very important. And access to finance, obviously we have carried out several capacity building activities. There are still others. We have organized a couple of forums, national ones, the regional ones. So there are still 2 others in the next upcoming 2 years. So all these activities, I think, would be probably beneficial. And we, at least in the next upcoming 1.5 years, we can work closely with PIBMed to collaborate on these issues. What else? Probably I forgot something, but so legislation, financing, it's important. Also, I mean, in March with the Mediterranean MidMed Week, so we say that energy efficiency should come first. So here in the COP27, everyone talking about financing. We need to increase the adaptation or mitigation financing, but definitely more financing should go to energy efficiency. So we need financing in this area, but obviously we cannot rely only on international financial institutions, but also as I said, local banks and local private sector could play an important role on that. And definitely multi-level governance is important, so we need to consider that when it comes to approaching different players at national and regional level. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joad. Yeah, we need to go and bring support where it is most needed, and it is at every level of governance and sectorial. Je voudrais parler en français car je comprends que Soraya voudrait parler en français. Madame Khalil de la direction du ministère de l'aménagement du territoire et de l'urbanisme du Maroc. Madame Khalil, je voudrais connaître, je ferai la traduction, donc je vais vous demander de faire des interventions courtes, s'il vous plaît. Nous voudrions connaître quelle est la situation au Maroc, quelles sont les priorités en termes d'efficacité énergétique dans les bâtiments. Madame Khalil.
Merci. C'est avec un grand plaisir que je participe avec vous à cet événement qui porte sur le lancement du PIB-MED. J'aurais aimé être en personne. J'aimerais remercier l'Union pour la Méditerranée et le programme pour l'efficacité énergétique dans les bâtiments pour l'invitation. Donc, par rapport au contexte du Royaume du Maroc, donc le Royaume du Maroc a fixé des objectifs ambitieux dans le cadre des stratégies et plans nationaux de développement durable et de lutte contre les effets du changement climatique, s'inscrivant ainsi dans les différents agendas mondiaux en la matière. Donc, l'action en matière d'atténuation et d'adaptation dans le secteur du bâtiment est ancrée dans un ensemble de stratégies offrant aujourd'hui un cadre favorable pour accélérer la transition bas carbone du secteur du bâtiment. Donc, je veux rappeler, je ne sais pas si vous m'entendez bien.
Oui, on vous entend. Je veux juste transmettre un petit peu ce que vous venez de dire, Madame Khalil. So, Madame Khalil, she's very happy of being today with us remotely, and she is going to explain how they have initiated in Morocco this ecological transition through energy efficiency in the building sector. So please, Madame Khalil, poursuivez.
Donc, je disais, oui, donc je voulais juste rappeler quelques éléments du contexte marocain. Donc, je rappelle que la contribution déterminée au niveau national a été actualisée en 2021 et qui revoit à la hausse les objectifs initialement fixés dans la première version qui a été déposée en 2016 en présentant un objectif de 45,5% de réduction à l'horizon 2030, dont un objectif inconditionnel de 18,3%. Et que le secteur du bâtiment a une part de 6% de l'effort global d'atténuation cumulé sur la période 2020-2030.
So, Madame Khalil, she explained how ambitious the new nationally determined contribution from Morocco is in comparison with the 2016 one. Actually, they plan to reduce of 46% the carbon footprint of the built environment in Morocco, which is very ambitious.
Donc, la deuxième référence, c'est le nouveau modèle de développement qui est adopté par le Royaume et qui trace les orientations à l'horizon 2035 et qui a fixé les axes stratégiques de changement. Et il a mis en exergue l'importance de l'efficacité énergétique dans les bâtiments, surtout dans la promotion immobilière.
Madame Khalil, si vous voulez allumer votre caméra, on pourra vous voir si votre connexion le permet.
C'est bon?
Yes, c'est bon, merci, poursuivez.
D'accord. Donc, je parlais du nouveau modèle de développement et puis de la nouvelle vision en matière d'habitat. Donc, le Royaume, il est en train d'élaborer la nouvelle vision en matière d'habitat qui va infléchir la politique d'incitation fiscale au profit de l'offre vers une aide financière directe qui est ciblée justement pour les ménages. Et cette nouvelle vision, elle a été actée dans la loi de finances 2023. Et cette nouvelle elle accorde une importance particulière à l'efficacité énergétique et la durabilité dans le bâtiment.
So, Madame Khalil just explained how there is a new strategy in the country that will put a lot of emphasis on helping actually the households through financial incentives so that they can reduce the carbon footprint of their buildings.
En outre, des références nationales et des stratégies en cours d'élaboration parce que la stratégie nationale de développement durable, elle aussi, est en cours de refonte. Donc, il y a un contexte mondial et régional qui est marqué par de nouvelles donnes à prendre en considération, notamment la flambée des prix de l'énergie, le stress hydrique, etc. Et qui devrait certes guider notre action et nos priorités dans le secteur du bâtiment.
Wow, sacré chantier au Maroc en ce moment. Madame Khalil just explained how they have also the sustainable development strategy on its way of being remade, and they have a very, very ambitious target in this sense. Please, Madame Khalil, poursuivez. And also, just want to mention how this is really even spurred because of the energy crisis we are in. The cost of the energy is accelerating this ecological transition in Morocco.
Donc, pour les priorités en matière d'atténuation, d'adaptation dans le secteur de bâtiment, donc d'abord, c'est la mise en œuvre de projets et programmes intégrés qui priorisent la dimension environnementale. Donc, des projets qui visent bien évidemment à stimuler le marché de l'efficacité énergétique, mais également qui appréhendent les deux volets, à la fois atténuation et adaptation.
So the approach from the ministry is an integrated approach in taking into account both mitigation and adaptation targets.
Donc ces projets devront se focaliser sur les volets de la performance thermique des bâtiments, la performance énergétique des équipements, mais aussi la dimension environnementale avec un focus particulier sur la rationalisation de la gestion de l'eau et valorisation des déchets de la construction dans le cadre de démarches d'économie circulaire.
So not just mitigation and adaptation, but also the environmental footprint of buildings in terms of water and waste management. And now we hear a lot about how we must think in terms of nature, Madame Khalil.
Donc la conception bioclimatique et la promotion de l'utilisation des matériaux de construction locaux et traditionnels, y compris les matériaux biosourcés.
So, building materials, it's a huge chunk of the carbon footprint of buildings. So they are reviewing actually the policies in terms of the carbon footprint of the materials, the cement and the glass and steel.
La troisième priorité, c'est la mobilisation de l'écosystème de la construction, de la conception jusqu'à l'exploitation autour d'objectifs, de feuilles de route et de plans d'action communs. Et je tiens dans ce sens à remercier le programme d'efficacité énergétique dans le bâtiment, le PIB, pour son appui et l'assistance technique qui a été assurée par la GIZ au Maroc et qui a permis d'engager plusieurs actions dans l'accompagnement pour l'opérationnalisation de l'Alliance marocaine du bâtiment pour le climat. Donc c'est une alliance qui fédère les efforts de toute la chaîne de valeur du secteur du bâtiment et qui est constituée des promoteurs immobiliers, des architectes, des entreprises de construction, des bureaux d'ingénierie et des industriels des matériaux de construction.
So Madame Khalil was explaining how important for Morocco is really to include all the sectors and all the actors, professional actors and economic sectors in this endeavor.
Merci. Donc, pour répondre à votre deuxième question, qui est les perspectives pour l'appui international en matière d'atténuation et adaptation, donc je mettrai le point sur la conception bioclimatique et l'utilisation des matériaux locaux traditionnels. Donc, comme vous le savez, ces matériaux, ils représentent des avantages importants en matière de confort, d'économie d'énergie. Et nous aimerions élaborer des règlements et des normes pour renforcer les capacités et sensibiliser les différents intervenants sur l'importance au retour à certaines pratiques et matériaux qui ont fait preuve de résilience et de durabilité.
And lastly, Madame Khalil was explaining how important it is to review the type of materials that are used and to put more emphasis on naturally sourced materials, so move a bit away of more carbon-intensive materials and also source materials more locally. And le dernier point, Madame Khalil.
Donc, les derniers points, c'est l'élaboration des standards environnementaux pour les logements et des labels nationaux pour encourager la sobriété dans la construction et être au-delà de l'aspect énergétique. Donc, on parle plus de sobriété que de performance énergétique.
Okay.
Donc le montage et la soumission, si vous permettez, je continue pour conclure ou vous voulez que...
Oui, Madame Khalil, she was insisting on how important is actually updating the building codes and to enforce these frameworks so that we are sure that the buildings are efficient from the start.
Aussi, le Maroc il a besoin d'un appui pour le montage et la soumission de projets bancables pour l'atténuation et l'adaptation dans le bâtiment et pour la soumission au fonds climatique. Et bien sûr, le renforcement des capacités qui demeure un élément essentiel pour réussir toute transformation ou transition du secteur du bâtiment. Et je vous remercie et je souhaite plein succès au programme PIBMED et merci beaucoup pour la traduction, l'effort de la traduction. Merci.
Merci à vous, Madame Khalil. Madame Khalil explained how important it is also to receive support in terms of the development of the projects so that they become bankable projects that can be financed and supported. And she was very appreciative of the support from the PIB, the Program for Energy Efficiency in Buildings. Merci, Madame Khalil.
Merci à vous.
Merci beaucoup. And now we continue hearing experiences from the region of the Mediterranean region. And now I turn to our host, the Egyptian representative, Mr. Halel. I would like to ask your perspective as a special advisor to the Minister of Housing. What are Egypt's priorities in terms of energy efficiency in the building sector?
So thank you for inviting me to this invitation, for this speaking. And I know it's quite difficult to have a last session in the end of the day, especially with this noise background. First of all, I would like once again to welcome you in Egypt for in COP27. And because building is an important aspect in terms of climate, during COP in the last day, the Solution Day, there is a global initiative for sustainable and resilient cities will be launched in a cooperation with UN Habitat and ECLI. And part of this initiative is regarding the building. So why building? Because building has many interventions in terms of climate and the problem of carbon issue. When I'm talking about Egypt, Egypt is quite different in terms of their urbanization, and but basically 50% of electricity consumption in Egypt refer to building. But building in Egypt are different in terms of their types. Yes, we have the similar classification in terms of private and public buildings, but also we have informal buildings and formal buildings. So we have about 30 to 40% of the total housing stock is informal. And this is impact negatively on the consumption of energy. That is why the Egyptian Vision 2030, one of the priorities, how to save energy in terms of building and transportation and other sectors. The overall strategy of Egypt is to improve the quality of building in the existing cities because this is impact positively on the consumption of energy, and to invite new techniques for the new buildings because, for example, during the 7 years, the last 7 years, we built more than 1.5 million units in the government sector. This is besides the private sector as well. So this is a huge number of units should have some guidance in terms of saving energy. And that is why we have a national initiative for greening housing, especially for the low-income housing or the social housing, because it's the percentage of social housing is about 70 to 75% of the total housing projects that are currently implemented in Egypt. Also, one important point that Egypt has already launched a code for energy efficient building, and this is an important step in terms of implementation of the strategy. Now we are working in how to implement this code because we need some initiative, whether for the developers or the end users, to encourage people to convert their mentality to having some techniques and tools for saving energy. So this is at the macro, the micro level when I'm talking about the building, and if I'm talking about the neighborhood, so Egypt now built about 25 new cities since 2014 till now. The total number of new cities is 42, but during the last 7 years we start implementing about 25 extra new cities. And one of the principles for these cities is to be sustainable and smart, and inviting some techniques such as district cooling, whether in the new capital or New Alamein, because this is a kind of solutions for the energy efficiency problem. So the strategy is including building, neighborhood and district, and the city as well. The points that we are still working on is how to because we already have a code for energy efficiency, and also we have a recent code for smart city, and part of the smart city code is energy aspects. But the issue is how to organize and how to localize the code, whether in the building, whether in housing or in other sectors. We have already started in the public building because it's easy to implement a success story, and we continue working on these aspects.
Merci, thank you very much, Abdel. It's amazing how much we can learn in so little time, right? And how important it's to really know the reality on the ground, right? It's almost 50% of the pool of buildings which is formal. It's a huge opportunity also to improve people's qualities of life, and of course to reduce the climate footprint, which unfortunately is very big in terms of electricity consumption. And now we are going to unfortunately wrap up because we are running a little bit out of time. And I'm going to turn to my co-host, to Victoria Jimenez from the Union for the Mediterranean, to wrap up the event and to explain what is the role of the UFM. Victoria.
Thank you, Mariana. It has already been said, the huge role that the construction of buildings have as regards climate change. And, but the thing is that urbanization is inevitable. Urbanization is highly rising in North Africa and many countries, but it's also that urbanization can be shaped by the decisions that we take. And in this regard, we have at the UFM, the UFM working group on affordable and sustainable housing. The idea of this working group is exactly to accompany decision makers on the decisions that they have to take as regards the drafting of housing policies and housing programs to be implemented. And we would like this working group to be also a common umbrella for these two programs that have been presented here today, and also a space to create links between them. We would like also to present these two programs as a tool for the public authorities that are part of the working group, as an implementing tool for the discussions that we have on this framework. We will promote from our side the active participation of ministries, especially ministries in charge of housing, from my side in both programs. To the extent possible, we will disseminate the results of the program also to other countries, not targeted by the programs, but UFM countries as well, as for instance Western Balkans or Turkey, that surely the results could be applied to a certain extent or interesting for them. We also, well, the UFM is targeting, or UFM members are only non-EU countries, but also all the EU countries, and we would like to complement the experience of the two programs with the EU experiences. We also, well, we started to do this somehow. We organized a regional workshop on energy efficiency in buildings in Madrid in July. We had all the non-EU countries and 3 EU countries invited, which were Spain, the hosting country, Croatia, and France, where we gave a special role to Spain as the hosting country. We would like to replicate this format again, and probably in the coming months we will do the same with other European countries, France or Croatia probably, to offer the non-EU countries the experience to hear directly from them on what they are doing. And then, well, basically, yes, we will promote also both programs. We will give some to them as part of the declaration of the third UFM ministerial the declaration of the third UFM ministerial conference on sustainable urban development that will take place in Croatia in May this year. So we will mention these programs. We will try to give them some relevance and promotion. And that's it. I would like to especially thank Raya and Abdelhalek, their presence here today. Soraya is more familiar with the programs, but especially to Abdelhalek, and we will see if we can, Egypt and all the targeted countries, but especially Egypt being one of the most populated countries in the region is an important country that we would like we'd like to see actively involved in the program. And well, we already identify some synergies during the preparation meeting of this session among the two programs, the UFM and the priorities of the countries, and we are looking forward to develop them in the coming weeks, months, or as soon as we can.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Victoria. Thank you, Joan, Roberta, Abdelhalek, Matilde. Thank you very much, Soraya and Cristina. Thank you, everybody here in the room, the technical team, and those watching online for being with us in this very special day where PIBMed is starting to walk hand in hand with the bigger brother, bigger sister, the MITMED. So thank you, everyone. And we are going to take a family photo to mark an important moment. Thank you.
Hola, hola, hola. It works if you want.